Buzzword! Jack here. More Buzzword with academic questions here. These are academic questions at their second easiest level on Buzzword that were written in 2020. Well, I guess they weren't. They were meant to be played in 2020. So that's where the current events are going to be. Buzzword is a replication of Quiz Bowl's toss-up structure, where the clues in the questions are going to go from more obscure to more well-known, and the sooner you buzz in and get it right, the more points you get. Yeah, these are academic questions. Let's see what's up.
When two of these values are known for two functions, the squeeze theorem may help find another of these values. This concept is applied to a difference quotient to define derivatives. For 10 points, name this concept in which a function approaches, but may not reach, a value at a point.
Well, this is just the limits. Hey, it was just limits. It was limits exactly. Because because as the limits as they go to infinity. I don't remember any of the theorems from calculus.
Part of this river forms a birdfoot delta around the Plaquemines delta complex. A branch of this river named the Old River flows into its distributary, the Atchafalaya River. The Red River of the South no longer connects to, for 10 points, what river whose delta includes New Orleans?
It's just Mississippi. That was a lot. That was a lot of questions. I guess there's a lot of specifics you can get into about the Mississippi River. No, Itasca. You just say Itasca, and I'm all over it.
A philosopher from this country discussed lived experience and asserted that one is not born, but rather becomes a woman in a 1949 book called The Second Sex. Existentialist philosophers Simone de Beauvoir and Jean-Paul Sartre worked in...
Is this Franson? Was The Second Sex? God, I can't even remember who wrote The Second Sex. Oh well, they said de Beauvoir, so it's her, Simone de Beauvoir, and then Sartre. Very, very French names.
In a poem with this title, the speaker leaves a still hearth and aged wife to seek a newer world. At the end of a novel with this title, evidence of Molly's infidelity is noted by Leopold Bloom. Alfred Tennyson and James Joyce both used for 10 points. What?
Yeah, Bloom was in Ulysses. Yeah, I did not recall that there was a poem titled Ulysses, but James Joyce novel sure is.
A regiment during this war was nicknamed the Weary Walkers of Colonel Leonard Wood. A volunteer cavalry unit in this war charged up Kettle Hill and was led by a future president. The Battle of San Juan...
San Juan Hill was Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders invading Cuba.
This country's Iqutz people have opposed the construction of the interoceanic corridor on an isthmus in this country. Subcomandante Marcos leads the Zapatista Army of National Liberation in...
Zapatistas are Nicaragua, I believe. Oh, it's Mexico. Okay. I thought I guess Zapatistas are just Mexico. Yeah, that was a bad buzz.
This man erroneously assigned carbon and nitrogen atomic weights of 5. Research on gases by this author of New System of Chemical Philosophy led to his law of multiple proportions and law of partial pressures. For 10 points.
Is it Boyle? Dalton. Yeah. That was that intro chemistry stuff that I've very much forgotten. Yeah, that was so long ago you had to worry about that. That's what's funny about the true pioneers of a field is that the weird stuff they come up with ends up being, or the weird stuff that they discover, or they do experiments that disprove things that didn't make any sense at all, but were accepted at the time, and you just kind of end up forgetting about them. The shoulders of giants.
This man got a large dragon tattoo on his arm during an 1891 visit to Japan. 14 years later, this monarch's chief minister, Sergei Witte, negotiated the Treaty of Portsmouth to end a war with Japan. The Battle of Tsushima was a defeat for the navy of, for 10 points, what last Russian Tsar?
Oh, you got a sweet tattoo? But tattoos are really taboo in Japan. Maybe that was before they... Yeah, that's probably before they were completely associated with Yakuza. Oh, that's a great story, though.
In this story, the ringing of an ebony clock causes musicians to pause every hour. This story is set in an imperial suite made up of 7 rooms where the title Costume Ball is held.
No, it's not. Oh. It's not Murders at the Rue Morgue. I think I took too long. They're not going to give you that one. I was close. I was on the wrong post story. I buzzed in immediately thinking Murders of the Rue Morgue. But it was Mask of the Red Death, and it just took me too long to get there. I don't think they're going to give me that one.
The farthest from Earth that humans have ever gone came during this NASA mission.
Oh. Were they NASA at the time? Yeah, I think they were. Because they had to go off plan. Because they ended up slingshotting around the moon to get back with how little energy they had. So they had to go further. I don't think it was in the plan. It wasn't planned that they would go further. So, but they had to go way around the moon in a way that hadn't been done before and hasn't been done since.
In 2013, scientists traced the cause of this event to the Herb1 strain of P. infestans. The Corn Laws were repealed in response to this event that caused 2 million emigrations and death.
Yeah, take potato famine there. Repeal the Corn Laws. I think that had to do with making alcohol. So there were... It had, but then it was like, all right, we need food. We need calories in these people. Because 2 million people are dying because they don't have enough food.
The selfish instinct of this type of performer was the subject of a 1968 Martin Luther King Jr. sermon. These performers often do an elaborate backbend immediately before college football games. A tasseled mace may be carried by, for 10 points, what performers who lead marching bands?
Is that the name? I don't think that's the right name for it. What's the right name for it? Doctors... Drum majors. Oh, yeah. He did have that speech. It was about drum majors. That was a deep one. That's some very specific thing.
An example of this phenomenon is photic sneezing, which occurs on exposure to bright light. Another example of this phenomenon...
Yeah, I'll take that. It's like, what phenomenon could it be? There's nothing at like it's obviously at an anatomical level. So what's some anatomical phenomena? Anatomical phenomena is the name of my... What do I want to... Anatomical phenomena is the name of my... Vampire Weekend cover band? Nah, that's not good. Anatomical Phenomena is the name of my Toxic Airborne event cover band. I'm going to stick with that one until I think of a better one, like 20 questions further in.
This place, which sits above the Orange 1 bunker, was renamed from Shangri-La to
I'll take that. Camp David used to be called Shangri-La, and then was named after... who was it named after? It was named after one of Truman's kids, I think. It's named after the son of one of the presidents. Not sure which one. But yeah, the presidential retreat.
This artistic discipline was practiced by Capability Brown at sites such as Blenheim Palace. This discipline's name was coined by Frederick Law Olmsted, who designed Manhattan's Central Park. For 10 points, name this field of designing large-scale gardens and recreational spaces.
Wow, what would be the name for this? Oh, just land. Okay, I was trying to make that way more complicated than it actually was. Just landscaping.
Pencil and paper ready.
No.
Lavenna needs to know the mean average length of the movies in her collection, given that she has 6 movies that are each 2 hours long, and 4 movies that are 2 hours and 30 minutes long. By totaling the number of minutes, she finds, for 10 points, what average length.
Is it 2? Okay. I was closer than I should have been.
In 1642, this empire began 333 years of governing East Timor. In Operation Vijay, this empire lost Daman, Diu, and Goa to India. Until 19...
Goa was Portugal. Use my board game knowledge of Goa there to get Portugal. You play one game of Goa, and then you just always remember that Goa was a Portuguese colony of India.
After this sleepwalking character splits open wineskins, a companion thinks the floor is wet with blood. The so-called Knight of the White Moon defeats this man, who loves the unseen Dulcinea.
Dulcinea Altabosa. It's Don Quixote, Man de la Mancha.
In this country, Cheb singers perform in the socially conscious Rai genre. An exodus of white pieds noirs took place after this country's independence. During Operation Torch, many Allied troops landed at the port of Oran in, for 10 points, what large former French colony in...
No. Gotta be Algeria then. I thought Chub Singer was gonna be the name of a person. Chub Singers is the best running back in the league.
A 2014 game in this series introduced Renegade Roundup mode, in which players are imprisoned by piranha plants. In this game series, the referee Lakitu saves players who go out of bounds.
I did not. You always pique my interest when you talk about games. And then it was one of the Mario things that I like. Okay, you said piranha plants. I don't know. This could have been Mario Party, maybe like Mario Super Strikers. Super Strikers would have been pretty deep for this, but yeah. Whenever you go off the court or go off the course in Mario Kart, a nice lucky two brings you back on.
This author depicted the growth of a poet's mind in an autobiographical blank verse poem called The Prelude. In another poem, this author described a fluttering and dancing group of golden daffodils. For 10 points, name this British romantic poet who wrote I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud.
Who wrote that? Is it Browning? Wordsworth. Yep, Wordsworth.
A member of this family died of brain cancer just after finishing his term as Attorney General of Delaware in 2015. Another member of this family, Hunter, served as...
Wow. Yeah. You know, it was a political family in Delaware, of course. Would have been the Bidens. But then you say Hunter, and it is obvious.
In quantum mechanics, the total value of this quantity corresponds to the Hamiltonian operator. In the Bohr model of the atom, gains and losses of this quantity allow electrons to move between orbits. For 10 points, name this quantity whose equivalence with mass was proved by Einstein.
What? Oh. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I was thinking like angular momentum, but yeah, when an electron has more energy, then it switches states. That. Yeah, of course it's that.
In standard violin tuning, this is
Okay.
the pitch of the second lowest open string. In key
It's
signatures,
G,
both the
C.
fourth sharp and the fourth flat modify this natural.
G? D. Aren't they tuned? Oh, yeah, they're tuned the same as a bass. So I think I flipped up. I think it's A, G, D, E, not A, G, D, E. No, it's G. It's G, A, D, E. Yeah. All right. It's been a while since I had to think about bass or tuning of those. I probably should have. I shouldn't have waited. I honestly wouldn't have gotten more off of that unless the giveaway would have to be is directly in the middle because A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah, so it's the one that's right in the middle. Yeah, the top one's it's G A. Yeah, it's G A D.
Pencil and paper ready.
Oh no! Does that mean we're gonna get three of them?
To find the area of a
Podrick.
circle, given that a sector of the circle with a 60-degree central angle has an area of 8. By first.
Okay, so it's 6 times 8 then. Like I can figure that out. 60 degrees is a sixth of a circle, and then I can multiply. So okay. I can multiply 6 times 8. That's computational math I can do.
This man died while running as a third-party presidential candidate in 1844 when he was imprisoned in Carthage, Illinois. While serving as mayor of Nauvoo, this man was killed.
Oh, it's Joseph Smith. Yeah, he was imprisoned. Yeah, so Joseph Smith, the originator of the Mormon religion, killed. I believe the Mormons say he was martyred in Nauvoo, Illinois, and then Brigham Young took over the sect and moved him west to Utah.
This athlete's nickname, the Millville Meteor, originated when a prankster edited his Wikipedia page. This player signed a record $426 million contract before the 2019 season. For 10 points, what 3-time AL MVP is a center fielder for the Los Angeles Angels?
No. You know, like the contracts, everybody's signing record contracts. Like Juan Soto's going to sign a record contract in San Diego for some reason. It's just every contract's a record, so you forget who had the record 2 years ago. Although I think Trout still is the highest yearly paid player. Man, I was in Detroit for a thing, and I went to a Angels Tigers game, and I got to see both Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and Ohtani was pitching, but he had the stomach flu, so the only highlight I saw was him giving up the longest home run he's ever given up as a professional pitcher. And then Mike Trout went 2 for 4 with like a double and an RBI, and the Angels lost like 8-2, which is basically how every Angels game goes.
These numbers can be directly calculated via Benet's formula. The ratio of consecutive terms in this sequence of numbers approaches phi, or the golden ratio. Each successive term equals the sum of the prior 2 terms.
Now it is. I put 1. No, I flipped the A, and they'll give me that.
A statue of this god legendarily laughed at Caligula's order to replace its head with a likeness of his own. A seated chryselephantine likeness of this god, completed in 435 BC by Phidias, was over 40 feet tall.
Oh, I should spell Zeus right. Yeah. The statue of Zeus at... was that Halicarnassus? statue of Zeus at Halicarnassus was one of the wonders of the world. The 7 wonders of the ancient world, I should say. What were the others? So there's the Hanging Gardens, the Colossus of Rhodes, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, Pyramids of Giza, the tomb at it's the tomb at Halicarnassus. Where was the statue? Where was the statue of Zeus in? I'm missing another wonder. So I don't think the Great Wall wasn't one of the wonders of the ancient world because we're all very Eurocentric. Yeah, so statue of Zeus, Hanging Gardens of Babylon, Colossus of Rhodes, Lighthouse of Alexandria, Pyramids of Giza, the tomb, I forget what it's called, and the Temple of Delphi. I'm probably just confusing that one with the wonders in Civilization.
This character journeys in a windowed box that is eventually lifted into the air by an eagle. He uses the endearment little nurse or Glemdelklitch to refer to a giant girl from Brobdingnag.
It's got to be Gulliver then. They wouldn't be asking about any other. Brobdingnag is one of the places that Gulliver went in his travels, and there wouldn't be any other characters in that, or the question wouldn't be about any other characters in that at this level.
The hierarchy problem concerns the unusually low strength of this force, which at short ranges is the weakest fundamental.
Yeah, gravity. It's weird. Gravity is very, very weak in terms of all the other fundamental forces. It's crazy.
This board game was inspired by a similar game invented by Lizzie McGee to illustrate Henry George's theory of wealth. This game misspells a real location near Atlantic City.
It's gotta be. Wealth, Atlantic City. Put those two together and you got Monopoly.
This author wrote about Lucy's attempt to stab her new husband.
Okay. I took a shot there. Lucy is a character in Bram Stoker's Dracula who famously has a husband, but I guess they were asking about Ivanhoe instead of Dracula. I'm okay with that. I shot my shot.
The largest land-living arthropod is the coconut species.
Coconut crabs. They are wild. They're so big. They look like aliens, and they are pests in certain places, I believe. And it's coconut crabs are fun.
2 players of this instrument, Buddy Rich and Gene.
Yeah, they said Buddy Rich. They said Buddy Rich right away. Somebody who could have been Sterling Archer's dad. They just say right away, Buddy Rich, one of the most famous drummers. I mean, maybe not to college kids in 2020, I guess.
This man's army crushed Cassius's forces on the first day of the Battle of Philippi. Ships commanded by Marcus Agrippa defeated this man's navy at the Battle of Actium. The second triumvirate consisted...
I think this is going to be Antony. Yeah, because he was in the second triumvirate and was leading mainly Egyptian troops, but then got beat real bad.
In a play by this author, Michael is legally found to be Grusha's son via the title Test. Pirate Jenny is a song in this author's play about the criminal Mac the Knife with music by Kurt Weill. The Caucasian Chalk Circle is...
It's Brecht. I knew it was the Caucasian Chalk Circle right away. Because I lived in... obviously I wasn't living there at the time, but I have lived in the building where that play was first performed in the United States. Or so I've been told. That may be an apocryphal story, but I'm going to stick by it. I knew it was a Chalk Circle right away, but it took me a second to remember that it was Bertolt Brecht. All-time name in trivia. Bertolt Brecht.
This country's current flag was adopted following
In
the
2020.
Zurich and London agreements. It borders the military bases of Akrotiri and Dhekelia and is divided by the Green Line into Greek and Turkish regions.
Man, this kind of has to be it. Cyprus, their flag is the only one that has a representation of, like, a geographical representation of the country on it. Because it's basically just a white field with a green shape. That's exactly a green shape. That's just what Cyprus looks like.
A movie of this name pioneered the visual effect known as bullet time.
I mean, that's just candy right there. Candy for the taking.
This king spent 10 years negotiating his son's marriage to Philip III's daughter in the Spanish Match. The dissident Catholic Guy Fawkes tried to blow up this monarch in the gunpowder plot.
What was the gunpowder
For 10
plot?
points, what man succeeded Elizabeth I in 1603 to become the first Stuart king of England?
That's something I should know. James I. All right. I literally thought, well, it's probably not a James. There's not too many of those. Yeah. I mean, you have to choose one. So it's not like you have better odds of just saying Edward, but literally in my head, I was thinking, I don't think it's James. There wasn't too many James.
This scientist was the first leader of Hut 8 at Bletchley Park, which deciphered Enigma messages.
He proposed... It's Turing. Oop. Yeah. Had a huge part in winning World War II, and then they didn't like that he was gay, so they did terrible, terrible things to him.
This country's namesake Gulf lies east of the Isthmus of Kra and receives the Chao Phraya River. The Wat Aru is a Buddhist temple in this only Southeast Asian country not colonized by a European power. King Rama X ruled.
Rama was Thailand. I forgot about it. Yeah, that's it. That's good. That's good trivia there about it being the only Southeast Asian country that wasn't colonized. Because Vietnam was colonized by France. I think France actually had a lot to do with Southeast Asia. But not Thailand. Strong monarchy at that point.
This man's name was
still a
used
monarchy,
to
I think.
title a law proposed in 2018 by Bernie Sanders that would have cut corporate subsidies. In February 2021, this man surpassed Elon Musk's net worth to regain...
It's gotta be Bezos, then. Gotta be Bezos. Just these rich people that aren't really worth the time or money.
A failed attempt to amend this document to recognize a distinct society was the Meech Lake Accord. This document was patriated in 1982 when the UK lost all power over it. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms is part of Fraternity.
I think. Yep, got it word for word. Because there wasn't an 18. Yeah, like the time didn't work out for it to be the American Constitution, and the Charter of Rights. I think was that the. I think their Constitution is the only one that directly mentions Indigenous people, or maybe that's what the Meech Lake thing was about. They have something to do with Indigenous people, which most constitutions for countries that were once part of empires usually do not have.
This creature's food was provided as recompense for the killing of his half-brother Androgeus. This creature was born after Pasiphae was cursed to fall in love with a white animal.
It's gotta be the Minotaur. Yeah. So new early clues there put you directly into Greek myth. So then it was just figuring out what it was gonna be. Because there were some other monsters that were placated with food. Because like Andromeda was gonna be fed to something. but the white animal that lady fell in love with was a bull, resulting in the half man, half bull minotaur, slain by Theseus with the help of Ariadne.
The speaker of one of this man's poems promises, "Tomorrow I'll be at the table when company comes." This poet, who noted "I too sing America," described a bar on Lenox Avenue where a man plays a drowsy syncopated tune. The Weary Blues is by...
Is it Hughes? Okay. Man, I was jumping all over the place. I sing. Made me think if I sing the Body Electric, so I thought we were going to be on Whitman for a while. But that was probably a line that was referencing Whitman's line.
In June 2020, the NCAA banned this state from hosting championship events. This state's governor, Tate Reeves, signed a 2020 law which led to designs called New Magnolia and Great River as finalists. For 10 points, name this state that replaced a flag containing Confederate symbol.
Oh, Mississippi. Oh, yeah, that was definitely a problem. That was a 2 years ago current events thing. Because there's been a lot of state boycotts based on laws that they have passed. This one, I think, wasn't about laws. It was about getting rid of the Confederate flag in your flag.
Bodies in 1 to 2 resonance with this planet are called Toutinos.
Ooh,
in 1846,
delicious.
A tip from Urbain Le Verrier helped Johann Galle find this planet. This planet sometimes hosts storms known as Great Dark Spots. Proteus and Triton are...
Okay, this... I was narrowing them down in my head because it wasn't Pluto, because A, it's not a planet anymore, and B, that was... God, what was that guy's name? Clay Yardborough. No, it's not Clay. It's Yarborough, who is the great uncle of Clayton Kershaw. It's a weird thing that I came across in my research for other trivia things that I do. But that's it for week 4 of this practice. I like these. Doing some academic stuff. Remembering things that I haven't interacted with before. Getting some good buzzes. Just destroying the pop culture in these. That's always fun. But that's it. If you want to try these yourself, you can go to neqt.com/buzzword, see if they have any events running. That's it for me. If you like me running through these things, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That'd really help me out. Thanks for watching.